Lisa had always been the type of person who looked up at the night sky and wondered what was out there. At 28, she worked at the local library in a quiet college town. But her real passion came alive after dark every Friday evening. She would pack her small telescope and drive to the astronomy club meetings at the community center. The club wasn't fancy, just a group of star-loving folks who gathered in the parking lot behind the building, pointing their telescopes at the moon and planets. Most members were retired teachers or college students looking for extra credit. Lisa loved the peaceful atmosphere and the way everyone shared their knowledge freely. On this particular October evening, the air was crisp and clear, perfect for stargazing. Lisa had just finished setting up her telescope when she noticed someone new standing alone near the edge of the group. He was tall and lean, probably in his early 30s, with dark hair and an intense way of looking at the sky that caught her attention. "First time here?" Lisa asked, walking over with a friendly smile. The man turned to her, and she noticed something unusual about his eyes. They seemed to hold a depth that didn't quite match his young face. "Yes, I suppose it is," he said slowly, as if choosing his words carefully. "I'm Alex. I study physics at the university. I'm Lisa. I work at the library downtown. But I come here every week. It's like my therapy." She laughed. "What got you?" Interested in astronomy, Alex looked back at the stars for a long moment before answering. "I've always felt connected to them, like they're calling me home." Lisa found his answer interesting, but a bit strange. Most people talked about astronomy in terms of science or hobby. Alex spoke about it like it was personal. "That's a beautiful way to put it. Do you have a favorite constellation?" "Actually, I'm more interested in specific star systems. Kepler 442, for instance. It's about 1,200 light-years away." Alex pointed to a section of the sky. The planet there would have perfect conditions for life. Very similar to Earth, but with some improvements. Lisa followed his gaze. "Improvements? Like what?" "Well, the atmosphere would be cleaner, no pollution. The weather patterns would be more stable. And the people," Alex paused, seeming to catch himself. "I mean, theoretically, if there were people there, they would probably be more peaceful, less caught up in material things." The conversation continued as other club members drifted over to share their telescopes. In knowledge, Lisa noticed that Alex seemed to know an unusual amount about space travel, planetary conditions, and stellar navigation. But it wasn't just textbook knowledge. He talked about distant worlds with the familiarity of someone describing their childhood. "Neighborhood, you know," Alex said as they looked through Lisa's telescope at Jupiter. "Your planet has such beautiful diversity. The way you have different climates and cultures all in one place is fascinating." Lisa looked at him curiously. "Your planet? That's a funny way to put it." Alex blinked, as if realizing what he'd said. "I meant our planet, of course, sometimes. I feel so disconnected from everyday life here that it's like I'm observing from the outside." As the evening went on, Lisa found herself drawn to Alex's unique perspective on everything. When other club members talked about their day jobs or weekend plans, Alex listened with the intense focus of someone studying a foreign culture. He asked questions that seemed obvious yet profound at the same time. "Why do people here work so hard for things they don't really need?" he asked during a break. "And why do they seem so lonely even when they're surrounded by others?" Lisa thought about it. "I guess that's just how modern life is. We get caught up in the rat race and forget what really matters." "Where I come from," Alex said quietly, "community and connection are the most important things. People don't compete with each other. They work together for the benefit of everyone." "That sounds like paradise. Where exactly is this place?" Lisa asked with a smile. Alex looked at her for a long moment, as if deciding whether to trust her with something important. "Promise you won't laugh?" "I promise. I'm not from here. I mean, not from this planet. I know how it sounds, but I'm from a world that orbits the star you call Kepler 442b. I came here to study your civilization, but I've been here so long that sometimes I forget I'm not supposed to belong." Lisa stared at him, waiting for the punchline, but Alex's expression remained completely serious. His dark eyes held no trace of humor or deception. "You're really not joking, are you?" she asked softly. "No, I'm not, and I know how crazy it sounds. But spending time with you tonight, seeing how you look at the stars with such wonder, it makes me think you might understand." Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. Part of her wanted to laugh it off as an elaborate joke or a sign that Alex had some kind of mental issue. But another part of her, the part that had always felt like she didn't quite fit in with the ordinary world, was intrigued. "Okay," she said carefully, "let's say I believe you. What are you doing here? Are you studying us? Are there others like you?" Alex seemed relieved that she was taking him seriously. "I'm what you might call a cultural observer. My people wanted to understand Earth's development before making any kind of contact. But I've been here for 5 years now, and I'm starting to feel more attached to this place than I expected." "Attached how?" Alex looked directly at her, and Lisa felt something shift in the air between them. "I never expected to find someone who could see the beauty in both the stars and the simple moments of life, someone who asks real questions and listens to the answers." The astronomy club meeting was winding down around them, but Lisa barely noticed. She was completely focused on Alex and the impossible story he was telling her. "This is going to sound even crazier than what I've already told you," Alex continued. "But I think you would fit perfectly into my world. You have the right spirit, the right way of seeing things. Would you ever consider being my alien wife?" Lisa's first instinct was to laugh, but something in Alex's tone stopped her. He wasn't making a joke or trying to be clever. He was making what seemed to be a genuine proposal, even if the circumstances were completely unbelievable. "I don't know what to say," she admitted. "This is all so much to process. I understand. I know it's overwhelming. But I wanted to be honest with you because I feel a connection that I've never experienced before, not on this planet or my own." As they packed up their telescopes and prepared to leave, Lisa couldn't stop thinking about Alex's words. Was he delusional? Was this some kind of elaborate performance art? Or was it possible that she had actually met someone from another world? The drive home was filled with questions that seemed to have no rational answers. But as Lisa lay in bed that night, looking out her window at the stars, she realized that rational answers might not be the most important thing. For the first time in years, she felt like she had met someone who truly understood her sense of wonder about the universe. Whether Alex was really from another planet or just someone with a very creative imagination, he had awakened something in her that she hadn't even known was sleeping. And maybe, just maybe, that was worth exploring further. The next few weeks changed everything for Lisa. After their first meeting at the astronomy club, she couldn't stop thinking about Alex and his strange claim about being from another planet. She found herself checking her phone constantly, hoping he would text or call. When he finally did, 3 days later, his message was as unusual as everything else about him. "Would you like to see how I really live?" The text read, "I think it might help you understand." Lisa stared at the message for a long time before typing back a simple yes. Alex's apartment was nothing like she expected. Most graduate students lived in cluttered spaces filled with pizza boxes, textbooks, and random furniture. But Alex's place looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie. The walls were bare except for detailed star charts that she'd never seen before. Instead of a couch, he had a simple meditation cushion facing a large window that looked out at the night sky. "This is how I'm used to living," Alex explained as he showed her around. Simple, focused, connected to the cosmos. The kitchen was almost empty. Just basic appliances and a few containers of what looked like protein powder and vitamin supplements. "Don't you eat real food?" Lisa asked, genuinely curious. "I've been trying to adapt to Earth food, but it's difficult. My digestive system isn't quite the same as yours. These supplements give me everything I need." Alex opened one of the containers and showed her the contents. "On my world, we don't need as much variety. Our bodies are more efficient." Lisa watched him mix the powder with water and drink it like it was perfectly normal. Everything about Alex seemed to support his incredible story, but she still couldn't fully believe it. "Alex, can I ask you something honestly? Of course. Are you really from another planet? Or do you just believe you are? Alex set down his glass and looked at her with those intense eyes. I know how it sounds. I know what people would think if they heard me talking like this. But I remember things that I couldn't possibly know if I was just a regular person from Earth. Like what? Alex walked over to his desk and pulled out a notebook filled with detailed drawings and calculations. I remember the feeling of different gravity, the way the air smelled on my world, the sound of two suns rising each morning. I remember traveling here through space. Though the journey was longer than I expected, Lisa flipped through the notebook. The drawings showed landscapes that looked both alien and beautiful. Strange plants with geometric patterns, buildings that seemed to grow from the ground like crystals, and skies filled with multiple moons. The mathematical calculations were far beyond anything she could understand. I've been documenting everything. I remember, Alex continued. Sometimes the memories come back in dreams. Sometimes when I'm looking at the stars. It's like my mind is slowly unlocking information that was hidden for my protection. Protection from what? From the shock of being so far from home, from the difficulty of adapting to a completely different world. Alex sat down on the floor, and Lisa joined him. When I first arrived, I was overwhelmed by how different everything was here. The emotions, the conflicts, the way people treat each other. It was almost too much to handle. Over the following days, Lisa found herself spending more and more time with Alex. She would visit him after work, and they would sit by his window, looking at the stars while he told her stories about his home world. He described a place where people lived in harmony with nature, where technology was used to heal rather than harm, where everyone worked together for the common good. It sounds perfect. Lisa said one evening, it is, in many ways, but it's also lonely. There's no challenge, no growth, no unexpected discoveries. Everything is peaceful and predictable. Alex turned to look at her. That's why I volunteered to come here. I wanted to experience something different, something that would help me grow as a person. And have you grown? I mean, more than I ever expected, especially since I met you. Alex reached over and took her hand. You've shown me that Earth is something my world doesn't have. What's that? The ability to find beauty in chaos, to create love in the middle of struggle, to hope for something better even when everything seems difficult. Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. She was falling for Alex, whether he was from another planet or just someone with an incredibly creative imagination. But she needed to know more. Alex, if you're really from another world, can you prove it? Can you show me something that would make me absolutely certain? Alex was quiet for a long moment. I've been thinking about that. There might be a way, but it would require me to contact my people. And once I do that, everything changes. Changes how? They would want me to return. My mission here was supposed to be temporary. If I reveal myself by making contact, they'll expect me to come home. Lisa felt a sudden panic. But you don't want to go back? Not without you. That's why I asked if you would be my alien wife. I wasn't joking, Lisa. I was asking if you would be willing to leave Earth and start a new life with me among the stars. The proposal hit Lisa like a wave. She had been thinking about Alex's claim as an interesting story, but suddenly she realized he was asking her to make a life-changing decision based on it. Could she really leave everything she knew behind to travel to another world with someone she had only known for a few weeks? I need time to think, she said quietly. I understand, but there's something you should know. The longer I stay here, the more human I become. If I wait too long, I might lose my ability to return home at all. That night, Lisa lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her practical mind told her that Alex was probably dealing with some kind of mental health issue. People didn't just arrive from other planets and blend into graduate school. But her heart told her something different. Whether Alex was really an alien or just someone who saw the world in a completely unique way, he had changed her life. She thought about her ordinary routine at the library, her small apartment, her quiet life in the college town. Then she thought about Alex's descriptions of traveling through space, of worlds with two suns and crystal cities. Even if it was all in his imagination, wasn't it better than the alternative? The next morning, Lisa made a decision that surprised even herself. She was going to take Alex seriously, not because she was completely convinced he was telling the truth, but because she was completely convinced that he believed it, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough. She had to tell someone about what was happening in her life. She had to share this incredible story with the person who knew her best. She had to tell her mother. Lisa had been putting off this conversation for 3 days, but she couldn't wait any longer. She sat in her car outside her mother's house, gripping the steering wheel and rehearsing what she would say. How do you tell your mother that you might be in love with someone who claims to be from outer space? Carmen Rodriguez had raised Lisa alone after her husband died in a construction accident. When Lisa was 12, she was a strong woman who worked 2 jobs to put Lisa through college, and she had very little patience for nonsense. Lisa knew this conversation was going to be difficult. Mom, I need to talk to you about something important, Lisa said as she walked into the familiar kitchen where she had eaten countless meals growing up. Carmen looked up from the stove where she was making her famous chicken soup. You look serious. Mija, sit down. Tell me what's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Exactly. It's just complicated. Lisa sat at the small table where she had done her homework. As a child, I've been seeing someone. His name is Alex, and he's a graduate student at the university. Carmen smiled and wiped her hands on her apron. That's wonderful news. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Is he treating you well? He's very kind to me, Mom. He's different from anyone I've ever met. He sees the world in a unique way, and he makes me feel like I'm part of something bigger. That sounds lovely, dear. When do I get to meet him? Lisa took a deep breath. That's the complicated part. Alex told me something about himself that's hard to believe. He says he's not from Earth. Carmen stopped stirring the soup and turned to face her daughter. What do you mean? Not from Earth. He says he's from another planet, one that orbits a star called Kepler 442. He came here to study our civilization, but he's been here for 5 years now. The kitchen fell silent except for the sound of the soup bubbling on the stove. Carmen stared at her daughter for a long moment before speaking. Lisa, are you telling me that you believe this boy is from outer space? I know how it sounds, Mom, but the way he talks about his homeworld, the knowledge he has about astronomy, the way he lives, it all fits together. And he's asked me to go with him when he returns. Carmen sat down heavily in the chair across from Lisa. Go with him? Go where? To his planet. He asked me to be his alien wife. His alien wife? Carmen's voice rose. Lisa, do you hear yourself? This boy is either playing some kind of cruel joke on you, or he has serious mental problems. Either way, you need to stay away from him. Mom, you don't understand. I've spent weeks with him. He's not crazy, and he's not lying. He really believes what he's telling me. That's exactly what worries me. Carmen stood up and began pacing around the small kitchen. A man who believes he's from another planet is not someone you should be involved with. What if he's dangerous? What if he tries to hurt you? Lisa felt tears forming in her eyes. Alex would never hurt me. He's gentle and kind and caring. He looks at me like I'm the most precious thing in the universe. Sweetheart, I'm sure he seems wonderful, but people with delusions can be very convincing. They can make you believe things that aren't real. What if they are real, Mom? What if there's more to the universe than what we can see from here? Carmen sat back down and reached across the table to take her daughter's hands. Lisa, I love you more than anything in this world. I've worked my whole life to give you a good education and a stable future. I can't watch you throw it all away for someone who thinks he's from outer space. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm considering the possibility that there might be something amazing waiting for me beyond this small town. This small town is your home, your job, your friends, your family are all here. You can't just leave everything behind for a fantasy. Lisa pulled her hands away from her mother's grip. It's not a fantasy to me, Mom. It's the most real thing I've ever experienced. Carmen stood up and resumed stirring the soup, but Lisa could see that her hands were shaking. I want to meet this Alex. I want to see for myself what kind of person has filled my daughter's head with such impossible ideas. You want to meet him? Yes, invite him for dinner this Sunday. I'll make my special meal, and we'll all sit down together like civilized people. Lisa felt a mix of relief and terror. Are you sure about this? I'm sure that I need to protect my daughter from making the biggest mistake of her life. And the best way to do that is to see this Alex person for myself. The rest of the week passed in a blur of anxiety for Lisa. She called Alex and invited him to Sunday dinner, explaining that her mother wanted to meet him. Alex seemed genuinely excited about the prospect. I would love to meet the woman who raised someone as wonderful as you, he said. Should I tell her about my origins? Maybe. We should see how the conversation goes first, Lisa replied, already imagining the disaster that could unfold. Sunday arrived with gray clouds and a cold wind that made Lisa feel like the weather was matching her mood. She spent the morning helping her mother prepare the meal, trying to give her advice about how to talk to Alex. Just be yourself, Mom. Ask him about his studies, his interests, his plans for the future. Try to see him the way I see him. I'll try, Mija, but I'm not making any promises. When Alex arrived at exactly 6 o'clock, Lisa opened the door to find him holding a small bouquet of flowers. He was dressed in a simple button-down shirt and dark pants, and he looked nervous but hopeful. These are for your mother, he said, handing Lisa the flowers. I hope she likes them. Carmen emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron and sizing up the young man in her doorway. You must be Alex. I'm Carmen, Lisa's mother. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Rodriguez. Thank you for inviting me into your home. Carmen studied Alex's face carefully. Come in. Dinner is almost ready. The meal started pleasantly enough. Alex complimented Carmen's cooking and asked polite questions about her work and her life. But Lisa could see her mother watching Alex's every move, analyzing his responses, looking for signs of the instability she was certain she would find. So Alex, tell me about your family, Carmen said as they ate. Where are your parents? Alex paused with his fork halfway to his mouth. My parents are very far away. We don't communicate regularly. That's sad. Family is so important. Don't you miss them? Every day, Alex said quietly. But I knew when I came here that it might be a long time before I saw them again. Came here from where exactly? Lisa felt the tension in the room increase. Alex looked at her, and she gave him a small nod. Mrs. Rodriguez, I know this will be difficult to accept, but I'm not originally from Earth. I came here from a planet that orbits the star Kepler 442. Carmen set down her fork and stared at Alex. You're telling me you're from outer space? Yes, ma'am. I know it sounds impossible, but it's the truth. And you've convinced my daughter to believe this story? I haven't convinced her of anything. I've simply been honest about who I am and where I come from. The conversation that followed was unlike anything Lisa had ever experienced. Her mother asked question after question, challenging every detail of Alex's story. But instead of getting defensive or angry, Alex answered each question with patience and sincerity. By the end of the evening, Carmen still didn't believe Alex was from another planet, but she could see that he genuinely believes his own story, and more importantly, she could see how much he cared for her daughter. I need to think about all of this, Carmen said as Alex prepared to leave. This is a lot to process. After Alex left, Lisa and her mother sat in the kitchen, surrounded by the remains of dinner and the weight of an impossible conversation. What do you think now, Mom? Carmen sighed deeply. I think that boy really loves you, and I think you really love him. But I also think you're both heading for heartbreak if you keep believing in something. That can't be true. But what if it is true? Then God help us all. Carmen couldn't sleep that night. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the dinner with Alex. The young man had been polite, respectful, and clearly devoted to her daughter. But his claim about being from another planet kept echoing in her mind. The next morning, Carmen made a decision that would change everything. She called her friend Rosa, who worked as a secretary at the university registrar's office. Rosa, I need a favor. Can you look up information about A graduate student named Alex? I don't know his last name, but he's studying physics. Carmen. You know I can't just give out student information. What's this about? It's about my daughter. Please, Rosa. I think she might be in danger. 2 hours later, Rosa called back with disturbing news. I found your Alex. His full name is Alex Chen, and he's been a student here for 5 years. But Carmen, there's something strange about his file. Strange how? He appeared in our system out of nowhere. No previous school records, no family contact information, no history before he enrolled here. It's like he just materialized. Carmen's hands began to shake. What do you mean, materialized? I mean, there's no paper trail. Most students have records going back to high school. College transcripts, references from previous schools. Alex has none of that. Just a social security number and an address. That afternoon, Carmen drove to the university library where Lisa worked. She found her daughter organizing books in the science section, humming softly to herself. Lisa looked happier than Carmen had seen her in years. Mija, we need to talk. Lisa looked up, concerned by her mother's serious tone. What's wrong? I did some checking on Alex. There are things about his background that don't add up. What kind of things? Carmen pulled Lisa aside to a quiet corner. He has no history before 5 years ago. No school records, no family information, nothing. People don't just appear out of thin air. Lisa felt her heart sink. Maybe he changed his name. Maybe he had a difficult past and wanted to start over. Maybe he's been lying about more than just being from outer space. That evening, Carmen made another difficult decision. She called a private investigator she had heard about through her church. Tony Martinez had helped several families in their neighborhood with various problems, and he had a reputation for being thorough and discreet. I need you to find out everything you can about someone, Carmen told him during their meeting at a coffee shop downtown. My daughter is involved with a man who claims to be from another planet, and I think he might be dangerous. Tony raised an eyebrow. Claims to be from another planet? I know how it sounds, but he's convinced my daughter to believe him, and she's talking about leaving everything behind to go with him. I need to know who he really is. Give me his name and any information you have. I'll see what I can find. While Carmen was hiring the investigator, Lisa was spending more time with Alex. She had decided not to tell him about her mother's concerns, hoping that everything would work out somehow. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. Alex, can I ask you something personal? She said one evening as they sat in his apartment looking at star charts. Of course. Do you ever doubt your own memories? Do you ever wonder if maybe you're wrong about where you came from? Alex was quiet for a long moment. Sometimes, especially when I see how difficult it is for people to believe me. But then I remember things that I couldn't possibly know if I was just a regular person from Earth. Like what? Like the feeling of traveling through space. The way time moves differently when you're moving at light speed. The sound of my native language, which is nothing like any Earth language. Alex began speaking in what sounded like a series of musical tones and complex sounds that Lisa had never heard before. It was beautiful and completely alien. What did you just say? I said that I love you more than all the stars in the sky. It's something my people say when they find their life partner. Lisa felt tears forming in her eyes. Whether Alex was from another planet or not, his feelings for her were completely real. 3 days later, Tony called Carmen with his findings. I found out who your Alex really is, and it's not what you expected. They met at the same coffee shop, and Tony spread several documents across the table. His real name is Alex Kowalski. He's from Chicago. His parents died in a car accident 8 years ago, and he had a complete psychological breakdown. Carmen stared at the documents: birth certificate, school records, newspaper articles about the accident. He's not an alien, no. But he's not exactly lying either, according to his medical records. He developed what psychiatrists call dissociative identity disorder. He created the alien persona as a way to cope with the trauma of losing his parents. Is he dangerous? Not in the way you're thinking. He's not going to hurt your daughter. But he genuinely believes his own story. In his mind, he really is from another planet. Carmen felt a mix of relief and sadness. So what do I do with this information? That's up to you. But you should know that there's more. Tony pulled out another document. Alex legally changed his name 5 years ago, right before he enrolled at the university. He's been living as Alex Chen ever since. And he's never sought treatment for his condition. Why not? Because he doesn't think he needs treatment. As far as he's concerned, he's perfectly fine. He's just an alien trying to fit in on Earth. Carmen drove home in a daze. She had wanted to find proof that Alex was deceiving her daughter. But instead she had found something much more complicated. Alex wasn't a liar or a criminal. He was a deeply wounded person who had created an elaborate fantasy to survive an unbearable loss. That night, she called Lisa and asked her to come over. When her daughter arrived, Carmen showed her everything Tony had discovered. His real name is Alex Kowalski. He lost his parents in a terrible accident, and he's been living as Alex Chen. Ever since, he really believes he's from another planet, but it's because his mind couldn't handle the truth about what happened to him. Lisa stared at the documents, her hands shaking. So he's not really from outer space. No. Sweetheart, he's from Chicago. He's just a person who's been through something so painful that he had to create a new identity to survive it. Does this mean he's been lying to me this whole time? Carmen reached across the table and took her daughter's hand. I don't think he's been lying. I think he's been telling you what he believes is the truth. But it's not the real truth. Lisa began to cry. What am I supposed to do now? How do I tell him that I know who he really is? I don't know, Mija. But I know that you love him. And he loves you. Maybe that's enough to work with. But what about all his stories about his home planet? What about his plans for us to leave Earth together? Carmen sighed. I think you're going to have to decide whether you love Alex the alien or Alex the person. Because they might be the same person, in different ways. The next morning, Lisa woke up knowing that she had to confront Alex with the truth. She drove to his apartment, carrying copies of all the documents her mother had shown her. Her heart was pounding as she knocked on his door. Lisa, what a wonderful surprise. Alex said when he opened the door. I was just thinking about you. Alex, we need to talk. I know who you really are. The expression on Alex's face changed from joy to confusion to something that looked like fear. What do you mean? Lisa held up the documents. I know about Chicago. I know about your parents. I know about Alex Kowalski. Alex stepped back as if he'd been physically hit. I don't know what you're talking about. Alex, your real name is Alex Kowalski. You're from Chicago, not from outer space. Your parents died in a car accident 8 years ago. Alex began shaking his head violently. No, that's not right. Those aren't my memories. I'm from Kepler 440b. I came here to study Earth civilization. Alex, look at these documents. Birth certificate, school records, newspaper articles. This is the real truth about who you are. Alex looked at the papers, and Lisa watched as something cracked in his expression. For a moment, she saw not the confident alien observer, but a broken young man who had lost everything he loved. I don't understand, he whispered. These memories feel so real. The travel through space, my home planet, my people waiting for me to return. They feel real because they were real to you. You created them to protect yourself from something too painful to remember. Alex sank onto his meditation cushion, holding his head in his hands. If this is true, then everything I've told you is a lie. Not a lie, just a different kind of truth. Lisa knelt beside him, unsure whether their relationship could survive this revelation, but knowing that she had to try. The silence in Alex's apartment felt heavy and overwhelming. Lisa watched as the man she had fallen in love with stared at the documents. That revealed his true identity. His hands were shaking, and she could see tears forming in his eyes. Alex, she said softly, reaching out to touch his shoulder. Talk to me. I don't know what to say. He whispered, everything I thought I knew about myself, everything I told you. If this is true, then I've been living in a complete fantasy. Lisa sat down beside him on the floor. Maybe it's not a fantasy. Maybe it's just a different way of understanding your life. How can you say that? I told you I was from another planet. I asked you to leave Earth with me. I made you believe in something that isn't real. But it was real to you, and your feelings for me. Those are real, aren't they? Alex looked at her with those deep, dark eyes that had first captured her attention. Yes, my feelings for you are the most real thing in my life. But what if everything else about me is a lie? Then we'll figure out the truth together over the next few days. Lisa stayed close to Alex as he began the difficult process of remembering his real past. At first, the memories came in fragments: the sound of his mother's laugh, the smell of his father's cologne, the feeling of safety he had known as a child in Chicago. But with the memories came pain. Alex began to remember the night his parents died. He had been 25, just finishing his master's degree in physics. His parents had been driving to his graduation ceremony when a drunk driver ran a red light and hit their car. They died instantly. I couldn't handle it, Alex told Lisa one evening as they sat together in his apartment. I had no other family, no close friends. My whole world was just gone in one moment. So you created a new world. I guess I did. Somewhere in my mind, I decided that Alex Kowalski was too broken to survive. So I became someone else. Someone from far away who was just visiting this planet temporarily. Lisa held his hand as he talked. It's actually quite brilliant. In a way, you gave yourself a reason to feel disconnected from everything. If you were an alien, then of course human life would seem strange and difficult. But I hurt you. I made you believe in something impossible. You didn't hurt me, Alex. You shared your truth with me, even when you knew I might not believe it. Alex's recovery wasn't easy. Carmen insisted that he see a therapist who specialized in trauma and grief. Dr. Patricia Williams was a kind woman who had helped many people work through difficult life experiences. What Alex created wasn't unusual, Dr. Williams explained to Lisa and Carmen during a family session. When someone experiences overwhelming loss, the mind sometimes creates protective mechanisms. Alex's alien identity allowed him to function and even thrive academically, but it also kept him from processing his grief. Will he get better? Carmen asked. He's already getting better. The fact that he's willing to face the truth about his past shows incredible strength. It won't be easy, but I believe he can integrate both parts of his identity in a healthy way. Carmen surprised everyone, including herself, by becoming one of Alex's strongest supporters during his recovery. She had expected to dislike him once. She learned the truth, but instead she found herself deeply moved by his story. I understand what it's like to lose the people you love most, she told Alex one afternoon when she brought him homemade soup. When Lisa's father died, I thought about running away and starting over somewhere new. The only thing that stopped me was Lisa. She needed me to stay and be strong. You're a remarkable woman, Mrs. Rodriguez. Lisa is lucky to have you as a mother, and she's lucky to have you as whatever you are to her. As weeks turned into months, Alex slowly began to remember more about his life as Alex Kowalski. He had been a brilliant student, passionate about astronomy and physics. He had loved his parents deeply and had been planning to pursue a PhD in astrophysics when they died. I think that's why I chose astronomy, he told Lisa. Even as Alex Chen, I was still drawn to the stars. They represented home to me, even though home was really just a memory I couldn't face. Lisa watched Alex transform as he integrated his two identities. He kept the best parts of both Alex Kowalski and Alex Chen, the curiosity and wonder about the universe remained, but now it was grounded in human experience rather than alien observation. I want to ask you something, Alex said one evening as they sat under the stars at the astronomy club where they had first met. I know I'm not really from another planet, but would you still consider marrying me? Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. Are you proposing to me? I'm proposing to the woman who saw something worth loving in a broken person, pretending to be an alien. I'm proposing to someone brave enough to consider leaving everything behind for love, even when that love seemed impossible. But what about your plans to return to your home planet? Alex smiled. and Lisa saw both the mysterious alien and the wounded human in his expression. I realized that home isn't a place among the stars. Home is wherever you are. In that case, yes, I'll marry you, Alex Kowalski-Chen, citizen of Earth and dreamer of distant worlds. Their wedding took place 6 months later, under the open sky at the community center where they had met. Carmen walked Lisa down the aisle, wiping away tears as she handed her daughter to the man who had taught them both. That love can take many forms. Dr. Williams officiated the ceremony, reading vows that Alex and Lisa had written together. Instead of traditional promises, they spoke about accepting each other's past and future, about finding truth in different kinds of stories, and about the courage to love someone even when you don't fully understand them. Alex may not be from another planet, Carmen said in her toast, but he's shown us that love itself is like traveling to a new world. It requires faith, courage, and the willingness to leave behind everything you thought you knew. After the wedding, Alex decided to continue his studies in astrophysics, but with a new focus. Instead of searching for his home among the stars, he began researching the possibility of life on other worlds. His unique perspective, shaped by years of imagining himself as an alien observer, gave him insights that impressed his professors and fellow students. Maybe there really are people out there among the stars, he told Lisa one night as they looked through their telescope in their new apartment. And maybe someday we'll find them. But until then, I'm happy to explore the universe with you, starting right here on Earth. Lisa smiled and squeezed his hand. I love you. Whether you're from Chicago or Kepler 440b, I love you too. And who knows? Maybe love itself is the real universal language. Maybe it's what connects all life, whether it's on Earth or scattered across the galaxy. As they watched the stars together, Lisa thought about the strange journey that had brought them to this moment. She had started by falling in love with an alien and ended up marrying a human being. But somehow, the love had remained constant throughout all the changes and revelations. Alex had taught her that sometimes the most important truths aren't found in facts and documents, but in the stories we tell ourselves to make sense of a world that can be beautiful and terrible and mysterious all at once. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, we find someone willing to share those stories with us, no matter how impossible they might seem. Years later, when people asked Lisa how she had known Alex was the right person for her, she would always give the same answer. He showed me that love doesn't require you to be perfect, or even completely honest with yourself. It just requires you to be brave enough to let someone see who you really are, stars and all.